Good morning. How'd you get on your own yesterday? Let's take a look through some of these matches. Auxerre Saint Etienne would have been favouring Auxerre on paper, wouldn't we? Saint Etienne awful away, but no real trading angle. With I was looking at Saint Etienne scoring first. That should be Man United's logo, shouldn't it? As. Wolfsburg and Holstein Kiel. Well, we'll be looking at Wolfsburg being favoured here. So you've got a trading angle there, haven't you? With Dzek scoring first, and then we get the reaction from the Wolf. And as you know, once you lock it in, doesn't matter what happens later. Something I hope you're learning, because it can save you a lot of heartache. And you Wolf fans, it would have saved you a lot of heartache yesterday. Torino scoring 2 goals. That's one of the signs of the end times, when Torino starts scoring more than 2 goals. Not a match I'd be keen on. I just don't know anything about Torino, really. I did warn you about Che Adams yesterday. If he clicks, they tend to click. But scoring 2 goals, it's quite something for Torino. It's very, very rare indeed. But it's good stuff from Che Adams. 2.33 the favourite is a warning sign in and of itself. Heracles and Utrecht be favouring Utrecht here. Who scored first? Well, Heracles scoring first, and it's just before the hour mark. So it's dependent on whether you want to take insurance out or not. Members will know what I'm talking about. And then you look and hope for a reaction, which you'd have got very late. Another way of playing this is quite simply delay. All dependent on the in-play stats. I wasn't around last night, so I couldn't have provided you with any indicator of the reaction from Utrecht. Looking here, not hugely promising, but my in-play stats feed would have a different perspective as well. Overall, throughout the match, they were the dominant force, weren't they? 19 goal attempts to 9, 13 shots to 7, 10 corners. Once you hit double figures on the corners and the shots inside the box, which is a new stat, but it's a useful stat, isn't it? It shows you where all the pressure is. Double for Utrecht. So that, I think, would have been a profitable trade. Las Palmas and Osasuna. Well, I think the Las Palmas red stopped any hope of them getting a second goal. But it's a tricky one, isn't it? Would you have taken on Osasuna's lead initially? If you had done, that red card would have just sucked the life out of any potential profit you might have had. But the Adnan Jalajaz, ex of Man United, scoring in the 98th minute. Again, without in-play stats, I don't know how or if I would have played late on. Osijek and Sibanek, odds-on favourite at home. Did they concede first? Indeed they did. Santini, the famous guitarist, scoring the first goal. And Jakupovic responding quickly. That's what you expect of a 1.41 shot, isn't it? Get stuck in straight away. You're going to get far better than 1.41 about Osijek. And you're also going to be, what are you going to do? Say it after me. Lock it in. If you get a gift like this, lock it in before half-time. And wouldn't you know it, Laka turns up and gets themselves an equaliser. Lock it in. Particularly in a scenario like that. This, big surprise, but it's also a warning to you. At this stage of the season, we're going to see some of the relegation threatened sides win matches. Look at old Rod and Emu all the way up from the relegation zone up into 18th place. Wow. Yes, it's okay so far, but they've played a game or two more than their rivals. But you'd rather have it in the bank, wouldn't you, than to hope to catch up and overtake. The Blades, well, they missed an opportunity to go top. Difficult one. isn't it? And we're going to have to be on our toes from February onwards because we will get these shock results. Old Garth Crooks, anything to stop him commentating on football. And then followed up by Jacob and followed up by Burrows. Now, John H has got an excellent idea. Both teams to score. No, that would have solved your problem here. But it's all about whether you have the nous or you want to operate on that basis in the 6th minute. Perhaps it's something we should look to now when you've got a top side against a relegation threat side who will get out of the zone with a win. I don't know if Hull have new managers or not. Had I played this, I think I might have been suckered in to the Blades not conceding more than 1 goal. Tricky one. Just to mention for the Premier League 2 and the Professional Development League, you're expecting goals, aren't you? Despite it being 2 goals, it doesn't mean it's not a profitable overs trade. In a case like this, where the overs, you're not going to get the overs odds at the moment, but highly likely to be overs, delay your entry. I try to get 15 minutes and then try 15-minute increments thereafter. When can you get in before the goal arrives? If you get the goal before half time, off you go. Merry Christmas. You get an actual green screen without looking for 3 goals, having backed over 2.5 goals. That's the way I would approach it. Similar story here. Any delay? Could we delay? Well, 23rd minute again. If you wait for 15, you'll look at the over 2.5 goal odds rising. Hopefully they'll be at decent enough odds come the 15-20 minute mark for you to actually back and make a profit out of. Again, lock it in if you're getting a gift before half time. Similar story, Professional Development League. This one tends to be more emphatic, doesn't it? French League 2, and again, similar story to old Rod, Hull and Emu against Sheffield United. This was all over. I think certainly at 3-0 at half time, I'd get involved. But you can see again in the standings where Martigues are. They're still bottom, but they're bringing Sen closer to them. They're bringing Ajaccio closer to them. This, I think, will be the goal for Martigues, or Martigues, which will be a tilt at a relegation playoff place. Amiens, mid-table mediocrity. And also look at the pre-match odds. Were they really emphatic favourites? Well, they're just over evens. Tricky one. Again, doing that neutral play. In hindsight, of course, this is a video about doing it exactly correctly. I know it's not the real world, and I didn't play yesterday, but something to think about. The neutral play over 2.5 goals there. I don't know what the odds would be. Or at 3-0, keep your liability low. Don't forget, low risk. Have that in the back of your mind. Mets, top of the tree, weren't they? Or thereabouts. Yeah. Well worth targeting, weren't they? But they over-delivered. Got that goal before half-time. For a 1.53 shot, exactly what you'd expect of a league leader. Highly likely we'll be seeing them in French League 1 next season. Magdeburg and Braunschweig. Again, I think Magdeburg are top of the tree or thereabouts. Indeed, they are. So, as you can see, you have targeted matches with teams at the top and with teams at the bottom. Did Braunschweig score first? No, they didn't. Magdeburg scored first. No, not really a trading angle there for me. Spezia and Sassuolo, I warned you this was a top 3 clash. We don't expect Sassuolo to do the winning. Okay. Yes, we did last week when we got that brilliant result against Südtirol. It was actually 1-3 for Südtirol. Sassuolo at home are superb. But I did warn you in the video yesterday, top 3 clash. Probably wouldn't play. You wouldn't be trusting Sassuolo to do their usual job against a fellow top 3 side away from home, particularly when the market isn't with them. 2.35 the favourite. Market leaves clues, doesn't it? The market had Sassuolo against Südtirol 1.45 at home. We knew as well, 17 goals scored in the last half hour of matches. Look at this. Boom there and boom there. Just putting a cherry on top. You could have laid the draw knowing that knowledge here. We got involved as well, made a very decent amount. So be warned as a trader, the market leaves clues. And the Eerste Divisie, well, we nearly got all over 2.5 goal yesterday. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 6. We didn't get many both teams to score, just the two, and just Den Bosch and Os missing out. But it is a league for overs, as has been amply advertised there. Looking at today, and it's going to be a live stream for me with members only, I'm afraid, today. So if you want to join a live stream, then come along. Join Football Trading Profits members area for guaranteed trading profits. So all you have to do, click that link, have a read, work your way down. There's me, look, when I didn't have grey hair back in the day. Fantastic stuff. And off we go. So sign up. You want some research on all of the matches. You want the majority of football throughout the week covered. Or if you just want to dip your toe in, Betfair Trading Made Easy course, and you get the Premier League research for today and tomorrow, along with the 2.5 goal stats. As you know, from November onwards, soccerstats.com is the place to be. It really is. And it's got all of the 2.5 goal stats, and they are rock solid as well. Give you a really good angle in. Because we've got matches under our belts. When we've got matches under our belts, we've got the stats to work with. Don't forget to join Football Trading Profits at Football Trading Profits YouTube channel, because I will be doing a free live stream, probably on my return to Thailand, which will be very soon. I'm still in Guernsey on the 1st. I think I'm leaving on the 3rd of February back to Thailand. Got to meet my niece. She's traveling around Europe, traveling around Southeast Asia, and she wants to see her uncle. And I've had to extend my stay because of my elderly parents, who are doing okay at the moment, which is nice to see. Having a look at the Premier League as I take a quick swig of the coffee. Now, don't forget, the market leaves clues. This is intriguing. Nottingham Forest, not even favourite. Let's take a dip into one or two of these matches today. I've done the research for every single Elite League match for members, footballtradingprofits.com, but I'll do a dip in to one or two of these intriguing ones for you. Certainly, this one is intriguing. Nottingham Forest, and the form they're in, not even favourite against the Cherries. What gives? Let's have a look. Well, you can see for yourself already. No red here at all. Since the 30th of November, Bournemouth are unbeaten, but they do have a lot of draws. 2 at home, 2 away. They've been keeping it tight recently at home. So do note they failed to score that second goal at home in the last 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 home matches. But they've got away with it. They've got away with it, haven't they? And note the wins. If you look at it in more detail, poor side. The boys from Tottenham. West Ham as well. Not yet under new management. That was I think we played that, didn't we? Very late on. So do watch out. I think this is masking some home scoring problems. If they can't solve this, they've not scored a second goal at home since the 23rd of November. This lot will just pile in. 3 goals here, 3 here, 2 here, 2 here, 2 here, 3 here since the 7th of December. So for me, the odds look way out of kilter. Maybe the market's fixated on this. 6 goals in 2 matches and the dissecting of Newcastle at Newcastle. and the fact that Justin Cliver, like his old pa, is in pretty solid form with a hat-trick. And he's got a goal as well, albeit a penalty against Chelsea. So, interesting. I would be a little alarmed if I was a Cherries home fan with that lack of a second goal. It certainly does not make them a very strong favourite, does it? Indeed, Nottingham Forest have scored 2+ goals in the last 4 away matches. We work our way down. 7th against 3. 3rd, it's a top 10 clash. You saw Sassuolo and, what was it, Spezia? That was a top 3 clash. This is a top 7 clash. Notably, they've beaten Arsenal and Manchester City at home. They've not conceded that second goal at home against the top 6. Is that going to keep Forest quiet? Notably for me, the wheels tend to fall off for Nottingham Forest. They've done all of their good work against 11th and lower, haven't they? Just the 2 wins against the top 10. Is that the reason why Bournemouth are favourite? So it does make for an intriguing match, but not necessarily a good trading match, is it? I can't read this one. And if you can't read it, don't play it. Or at least leave it to the in-play stats. Bournemouth are at the most vulnerable in the second half, so Chris Wood, pay attention. Conceding 6 of their 7, and they're particularly vulnerable in the last 15 minutes. So Chris Wood, pay attention. Nottingham Forest, straight out of the blocks after Nuno Espirito Santo's spirited half-time team talks, and of course orange segments, and Lucozade, and deep heat, as we used to do in our Sunday league. Straight out the blocks, 10 goals in the first half hour of second half of away matches. That's where they're going to be at the most lethal. Is that down to substitutions, perhaps? So it's an intriguing match. Lots of nil-nils at half-time, 50% of Bournemouth, but they do tend to see a second half goal. That could be another angle for us. So it's a very, very interesting match, but not necessarily a good trading match, is it? 2.1 the favourite. Why? Why are they favourite when they're not scoring that second goal recently at home? This lot scoring 2 goals for fun, but they do the majority of their winning against 11th and lower. That could be the reason. Brighton and Everton, you're going to have to be very careful. New manager syndrome for Everton, isn't it? So don't forget that. This looks about right, doesn't it? And you know what comes with these odds? The expectation of about 3 or 4 goals from Liverpool today. Possible win 2-0 and possibility of a goal before half-time. So if it's 0-0 after 20 minutes, you might, and this mouse is very touchy. It's very woke. It's a very touchy, woke mouse. So let me just let it be. Probably got pink hair, this mouse. So Liverpool looking for a goal before half-time. So if it's 0-0 after 20 minutes, look for the possibility of a 1-0, 2-0, any unquoted in the half-time score market. Southampton and Newcastle. Well, Southampton have had the odd occasion where they've kept things tight, and with a bit more luck, could have produced a win. Let's have a look at this one. Southampton and Newcastle. Don't forget, like Hull and Sheffield United, we might get a surprise. Okay? Relegation threatened side against a side who's just got battered by Bournemouth at home. So you might get a reaction from Newcastle in that regard as well. But Saints, just the 1 win all season. At home, they've failed to score in the last 3 at home. Oh boy. But do note, they've played all London opponents in the last 4 at home. This is a change. A brilliant run for Newcastle, but looking at it a little deeper, expected to beat them. Fair enough, solid Aston Villa side, but with a European distraction. Well, my Sunday League side could beat this lot. And beating Tottenham, that's no great shakes. New manager for Wolves. This is their pattern now. They're going to be conceding 2 or 3 against the top 6, 7 sides. But this came out of nowhere. But there's nothing in Southampton to suggest they can land a blow, is there? Failing to score in the last 3 at home. No win in 12. They're going down. The Geordies have scored in the last 7 away. scored 2+ goals in the last 4 away. If that pattern continues, of course, it's going to be a comfortable afternoon. 20th against 6th. Don't forget the Hull City element. Southampton could do with 3 points. We're going to get some shock results. Newcastle, they do look rock solid against 15th and lower, though, don't they? 2+ goals regularly, but just a 1-0 win against the Saints last time these two met. And looking, well, they're vulnerable in both halves. The Saints do most of their scoring in the first half. So if they miss that window, you do fear for them, don't you? The Geordies do most of their conceding away in the first half, but they're about 50-50 with the goal scoring. So, yes, Southampton need to solve that goal scoring problem at home. There's that mouse again, look. Man City and Chelsea, for me, is a derby-style match. I don't tend to trade derby-style matches. Wolves against Arsenal. Wolves have a real pattern now under the new manager, and it's not a good pattern at all. Don't forget, we can't look at Wolves' form in isolation for the whole season. We've got to look at it only under the gaze of the new manager. And note, Nottingham Forest, Newcastle, Chelsea conceding 3 goals. Where are Nottingham Forest, Newcastle and Chelsea? Let's have a look. Nottingham Forest, Newcastle, Chelsea, all in the top 6. Who are they playing today? Second. So if that pattern continues, you'll be expecting Wolves to concede at least 3 goals today. Don't forget, though, this is a sandwich weekend for the Champions League. We have Champions League midweek, we've got Champions League next week. That's going to affect sides, particularly those sides who are away from home. I need to get this mouse sorted. It's very, very touchy. So Arsenal away. Any other sides involved in Europe? Liverpool at home. Might see a surprise. So just watch out. It is pre and post Champions League. We saw the carnage last weekend, didn't we? Monaco and Rennes. Monaco failed to win, or, well, lost pre-Champions League last week. PSG struggled, but they eventually got the win last week. Look like they have a comfortable time of it today. German Bundesliga. 1, 2, 3, 4 odds-on favourites, 5 odds-on favourites. Compare that to last week where we had a lot of these. 2.45 to favourite. Don't forget Stuttgart pre-Champions League don't tend to cock things up. Bayern Munich though, well, 3-2 I think last week, and they lost midweek in the Champions League. That's going to be playing on Vincent Kompany's mind. I still think he's not the man for the Champions League job. 3-0 loss to Feyenoord. We played and we broke even thanks to John H's idea. Dortmund against Werder Bremen. Well, you look at Werder Bremen's result against Leipzig. They scored 2 goals, but they lost. You'd be expecting similar for Dortmund, but do note, this is pre and post Champions League for Dortmund. So that's what we've got to worry about. Pre, and then they've got a post match. They lost this one, and lost this one. Champions League distraction. Very, very evident. Werder Bremen will take heart from 3 goals against Heidenheim and from 2 goals against Leipzig. But that was a poor result against Augsburg, where they failed to score. So it's pre and post Champions League. Look at Leipzig, not even favourite, but similar story. Bayer Leverkusen involved in the Champions League as well. It's a very, very tricky affair, that one. Are they going to be making team changes? Pericomo, Cesc Fabregas' side, welcoming Atalanta, and that is, I think, telling us this is pre and post Champions League as well. Let's have a look at the Como-Atalanta match. I want to see how Cesc Fabregas is doing as a manager. Atalanta probably going to be affected by the upcoming Champions League, which is why they're more lukewarm in the market than you would think ordinarily. So let's have a quick look. Como have won 3 of the last 4 at home, including that win against Roma. 2 90th minute goals there. Lots of 0-0s at half time. Do see second half goals. So that is an angle. Do see at least 2 goals the last 4 0-0s at half time. Atalanta going through a poor run. You put this down, arguably, to quality of opponent, Lazio, Juve, Napoli, and also the pre and post Champions League. This is pre-Champions League in a derby-style match as well. So they need to fix this problem they've got away, and they failed to score that second goal in the last 3 away. An opportunity for Como to take on a Champions League side who are away from home and could be distracted. No defeat in 8 away though. It's a bit of an ask for Cesc Fabregas, but they did it against Roma, and they're playing a top 3 side today. They lost 2-3 last time. That's away, but they haven't met them at home yet. But this does not augur well. Neither does this. Neither does this. And neither does this. Conceding 2+ goals far too regularly. The only thing they've got in their favour is Atalanta being distracted by the Champions League. Their only defeat, Atalanta, was against Old Perry, against 12th and lower. The only defeat amongst all other wins. Fascinating match. Watch out for the pre and post Champions League. That's what we've got to be careful with. Derby style match, Napoli Juve. Not going to be touching that one at all. Don't know how to read it. Bologna involved in the Champions League as well, I think. So watch out. They're away from home. So I'm not really going to be researching that. PSV lost last week. Pre-Champions League. A huge shock last week. So do be careful. Thankfully, I wasn't tempted in. 3-1 loss to Pek Zwolle. Pre-Champions League. Groningen and Heerenveen. Don't know much about that one. Mallorca at home should be far more accomplished. Atletico Madrid lost pre-Champions League last week. They're playing an in-form Yellow Submarine. This is going to be intriguing as well. I wouldn't be trusting them at these odds, pre and post Champions League. But let's have a look to see whether they do consecutive losses. That could give you an angle in. I better be careful with the video. It's running a bit long, so I'll keep it below half an hour. Do they have consecutive losses this season? That could be your angle in. No, they don't. So we'll be looking for a reaction from Atleti today. But they've had 3-1-0s in the last 4. It is pre-Champions League for them. 1-0 loss against Sociedad and Bilbao. That's really what we should expect on normal form. 2-0 loss against Real as well for the Yellow Submarine. But it is at their most vulnerable pre and post Champions League. So I've got to be so careful with the coupon today. Real Madrid did get a win last week, and they've looked like they've got an easy time of it this week. But watch out, they're going to make some team changes. We had Vinicius Jr. last week, didn't play. I think it was because of a red card. Modric as well, too many yellows. Those are the main matches. I'll be on hand for a live stream from 2:30. We've got to be very careful with these Champions League sides. So get to know them. I'll be pointing them out for you. And I'll see members at 2:30. Have a great and profitable afternoon.